everyone, Alexa Donne here, and today we are going to discuss whether or not YouTube sells books. I recently did a discussion on whether Twitter sells books, and I said basically yes, but no, mostly no. Though since I made that, I had some friends pitch some pretty good arguments to me, and that one might be worth, I won't say a rebuttal because I still think I'm right, but I've heard of some really good cases where Twitter can definitely do some good work. But I teased in that video that I felt that YouTube can definitely sell books, but... So now I'm making that video, and that's the thing. Yes, I think that YouTube can sell books. I think it is better at selling books than Twitter or Instagram. It's a yes, but a qualified yes. I love a good phantom joke. So first I'm gonna go into why YouTube is such a good platform for selling books, and then I'm gonna discuss these caveats of why I think yes, but. So why is YouTube such a good platform for selling books? It's all about engagement. This is the thing about any form of social media. It's literally what social media is. It's engagement. Now, of course, when it comes to selling things, it's about engagement as a means to selling things. For everyone else, it's about connection and engagement, so neutral social engagement. But really, the thing about social media is almost everyone is trying to build some kind of platform, even if they don't have something to sell yet or now. But when it comes to YouTube, there's just something super magical about this. I am staring down the barrel of a camera, but when you watch it, I'm connecting directly to you, even though I'm here right now by myself filming in my apartment. And I feel this when I watch other people's channels. You know that sense that you know someone, that they're speaking just to you, that maybe you'd totally be friends. Gosh, I have so many YouTubers I really want to be friends with, and I think we all have that. There's just something magical about the engagement you get from video. And particularly on YouTube, this style of direct-to-camera, confessional storytelling, sharing, it's a very intimate platform. And actually, that's what scares a lot of people. Though I have to have a little asterisk here. YouTube is such a double-edged sword. Because there's both the, I really want to connect with people, and there's the megalomaniacal, I want to be a star thing. And you get both things on the platform, but I always like to hope the best of people, that they're here for the connection rather than, well, we all know some YouTubers who have totally got off the rails, and that's a whole other conversation about when people lose their relatability, but I digress. The level of engagement on YouTube is insane. And that's just taking into consideration talking to a camera and watching someone speak about things directly to you. There's also all the other levels of engagement on the platform. Comments, how you can have conversations with people. Now we have community tabs. If you have a larger channel, you have your community tab so that you can interact. I even just it feels passive, and yet there's something about likes on a video that makes you feel connected to people. Oh, I'm gonna give them a like, which helps them in the algorithm and tells them that I like this. I don't know. There's a high level of engagement on YouTube. So here's the thing about engagement and liking people and feeling like you know them. When you like someone and you feel like you know them and you feel like you're a part of their life and they're a part of your life, you're going to be both more forgiving and more generous. And the thing about consumerism is we tend to be more likely to buy something if we like someone, if we have a favorable opinion of a brand or a person, or maybe a person who is a brand. It's a phenomenon. I mean, we've seen it over and over again. There's a reason that the biggest people on YouTube can move hundreds of thousands of stock of really ugly eyeshadow palettes. Yes, I threw that shade. Still don't understand it. The cases where mega big YouTubers write best-selling books, even if they're not that good or they're ghost-written. That was Zoella's shade. I'm so sorry. I'm sure her ghostwriter's good, but come on. And there have been other YouTuber books where I'm like, really? The thing is, people feel intimately connected to these creators. And so when they put something out in the universe, whether it's an eyeshadow palette or a brush set, a lifestyle product, a book, We have seen so many YouTubers move massive amounts of product, and it's because of the engagement factor and just liking people who we feel connected to on YouTube. And I think YouTube is uniquely positioned as a social media site to accomplish this in a way that Twitter and even Instagram never will. I do think Instagram has a lot of potential to sell books. I just think YouTube is at the top of the pile. And part of the reason I believe this, I'll tell you, when I started my channel, my goal wasn't I'm gonna sell a ton of copies of my books. I wanted a platform for the advice that I love giving. It's sad how much I enjoy giving advice, and no one was reading my blog, and honestly, I just wanted to have a better audience and more engagement for my advice. And then the longer I was on YouTube and the more that I made videos and the more I became engaged with the community, the funniest thing started happening once my book came out. Obviously, I've promoted my book on this channel, but I favor a soft sell, which we are going to talk more about because I find it very awkward to talk about my book and ask you to buy it. It's weird. The thing is, I didn't have to. The phenomenon I started observing, and at first I was shocked, but now I tell all sorts of traditionally published authors, I tell them all the time, YouTube's legit, y'all. You guys should be over here. And none of them are. Very few of them are. There are a couple great people who are. But legitimately, I've gotten so many comments from so many of you. I've met a lot of you at events. I love meeting you guys at events. Who have said, I love your channel. Sci-fi is usually not my cup of tea, but I really want to support you. I bought your book. Or sci-fi is usually not my cup of tea. I hear that all the time. But you made me really interested to read this, so I'm going to read it. And I can't tell you how many times at a festival or event, it was honestly such a relief to have people come up and say, oh, I love your channel, and have someone to chat with. I probably would have had half the number of people in my signing line every single time if it weren't for this channel. It's that level of engagement. It's that connection that you can make to people. YouTube is almost lightning in a bottle. It's incredible. And a harsh reality of publishing is most books fall off pretty steeply with sales, and over time, you just sell fewer and fewer copies. And it becomes rare to have a week where you sell double digits. Not for every book, but for many of us. And here's the thing. I am 100% positive the only reason I have consistently continued to sell books almost 2 years out from my book coming out. We're at about 18 months now. The only reason I still sell any copies of my book, I'm positive, is because of this channel. I don't say any of this to brag, but to point out that legitimately, I didn't even realize YouTube could do this, and it did this. YouTube can legitimately sell books. On the comments of that Twitter video, so many of you piped up and affirmed you have bought books because of YouTube from lots of different creators. Really, it speaks to the strength of AuthorTube as a community. There is a lot of community support, and it is a great way to get word out about your writing and what you're doing and what your books are. This said, now I want to discuss the but, the caveat. Here's the thing about social media and selling books. Any social media platform, as good as it is for selling books, is going to hit a saturation point for the efficacy of selling books because the audience is going to become eventually overwhelmed by all of the voices in the space. Honestly, I'm not sure if Twitter ever was a great place for selling books, but I'm sure at some point it was a better place for selling books. And now it's just too much noise. I see Instagram heading in the same direction. Instagram can definitely sell books, but we're seeing a lot of saturation of Bookstagram channels, of authors who create really, really good Instagrams. And there's only so many people that you can follow and really pay attention to, and only so much that's going to work for sales. And so the thing is, I think that YouTube is going to hit a saturation point, and in some areas it already has. I talked about those YouTube celebrity books. That hit a saturation point a while ago. We haven't seen a major YouTube book deal in a while. I mean, think about it. I feel like the heyday of all the big YouTubers doing their memoirs, for example, was a year or two ago. And same thing with the YouTubers who really you wouldn't think would write fiction. Writing fiction, a bunch of those happened a few years ago. Even booktuber books have only just started happening. We've only had 2 so far. I think there are a few more on the way, or there might be, and we'll have to see what the tail of efficacy of building a platform on BookTube and selling a book and having it come out and having people who like you buy it. We have to see how that goes. We're still in the early stages of the test cases, which brings me to AuthorTube. I think AuthorTube is going to saturate, and I think it has potential to saturate faster than any of us would like. Now, I don't want to discourage anyone from joining the community. In fact, I think we still need more people, fresh voices, because you never know who is the next fresh voice in your space. It's a large, welcoming community. But something I have been seeing happen a lot, and this is my but, yes, YouTube sells books, but I do think there's a difference between a soft sell, where you build a channel where you are yourself and you share information or the journey or what have you, and people get to know you and they really like you, and then, oh, they're gonna buy your book because it sounds interesting to them or they wanna support you. And setting up a platform to be a platform with hard selling from the very beginning. I think it's a lot more difficult to create genuine engagement and that intimacy and develop that relationship essentially with the viewer / reader, because then you get into a weird line of like, they're really consumers to you from the start. I think it's trickier when there's a hard sell, because people know when they're being hard sold to. And this is one of the reasons in my Twitter video I said, it's good for networking and it's good for presence and potential word of mouth, but it's not about throwing buy links up on your Twitter all the time, because that definitely isn't going to sell books. And I feel the same way about YouTube. I think there's building a genuine space that can still be a platform, but you're into the soft sell tactic versus buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. I think that approach is generally never good, but also I see us heading toward a saturation point. I'm seeing more of that, where people go, oh, YouTube is a really great platform for selling books. I'm going to use it to sell books. And I'm not saying you have to have totally pure intentions when you start your channel. It's totally fine to start a channel as a good platform option. But I think that if you hyper focus on the selling books part, it's not going to go the way you want. Because here's the thing about YouTube. So I want to talk about investment versus yield. This is what I find really interesting about these different social media platforms. So when it comes to calculating ROI, return on investment, of the time and effort that you put into social media versus, well, can it really sell books? First of all, there are no concrete answers. This is 100% my opinion and my navel gazing. But I think of YouTube as a high investment platform. You have to do a lot of work to build a solid YouTube channel, to build your audience, to reach people, to forge those connections over time, especially if you're doing the soft sell, which again, is what you should be doing, which is make a channel because you enjoy making it, and the sales will follow if you're patient and put in a ton of work. And that's the thing, it's a ton of work, but then it's high yield if you put in the high investment and you do a lot of work over time. I didn't really start seeing a yield, so to speak, of my YouTube channel when it came to selling books 18 months to 2 years. 18 months to 2 years. And that's posting 3 videos a week, every single week. Not everyone has to do that kind of posting schedule, but I basically put in 10 to 20 hours a week, every week into my YouTube channel for 18 months to 2 years. And I did that because I love it and I really enjoy it. I like the community, I like the engagement, I like putting my advice on the interwebs. And it yielded a great platform that does lead to sales for me, book sales. And it's not gangbusters book sales, but to me, I'm grateful for any sale. And if from my channel I get 100 sales, that's 100 sales I wouldn't have otherwise gotten. And in comparison to the other platforms, again, this is my opinion, I think of Twitter, for example, as like middle investment. Like you have to put a decent amount of time investment into Twitter, but you don't have to like invest too much time. It's not the same as planning, filming, and editing videos, like that level. Like, that's a level of work for YouTube that honestly scares a lot of people. Like, I've tried to get people to join YouTube and they don't want to because it's a lot of work. So let's say Twitter's in the middle, especially if you work really hard at developing your Twitter platform. But then, as discussed in my previous video, I think Twitter's very low yield. So you're putting in the work, but it's not necessarily leading to sales. Then I consider Instagram to be mid-level investment, high level depending on how hard you go. Like, if you go hard at being a real bookstagrammer, there's a lot of time involved in that and a lot of effort. And then I consider Instagram at this point in time to be probably middle yield. It definitely sells more books than Twitter, but I think it sells fewer books than YouTube. But talking about investment and yield, if you don't put the investment into your YouTube channel, you will not get the yield. You could also put a lot of investment into your YouTube channel and not get the yield, and that's part of the but. Because it's becoming a saturated space, because there's a difference between the soft sell and the hard sell, there's no exact science to YouTube and kind of growing your channel and being successful. There are definitely tools that you can employ that I've made videos on before. There are tips and tricks that you can follow, but ultimately, YouTube's tricky. Yes, I think you can sell books. I see so many author tubers who I really respect who have built brilliant platforms or are using their platform really, really smartly. That has definitely made me interested in buying their books. And I know that other people who watch their channel have definitely bought their books as well. I've seen it personally, and I know that it happens for other people on the platform. But a thing that definitely happens, certainly on Twitter or just generally in this space, is there's only so much book buying budget that people have. And so again, you do have that saturation thing. There's only so many books people can buy from a person that they really like. So this is my long-winded way of saying YouTube isn't as much of a sure thing platform for selling books as I think it used to be, but it still can be. I think there's still great potential for someone to put in that high investment time and get the high yield. But if you go in really aggressively expecting that payout, thinking of your channel and your audience transactionally, I think is a little bit dangerous. I know you may not believe me, but genuinely when I started this channel, I had no intention of ever making money off my videos, but that happened. And I had no intention of directly selling books. I had low expectations because of my experiences on Twitter and Instagram. I thought, oh yeah, YouTube will be really great for like putting my advice out there. It'll be good to get my face out there, but ultimately I don't really have expectations for becoming some sort of bestseller because of a YouTube channel, which hasn't happened, by the way. But it exceeded my expectations because genuinely there are people in my audience who have taken a chance on me in my books because of the channel. Even if it's just checking my book out from the library, that is something that helps me. And that's definitely something that wouldn't exist for plenty of readers if it weren't for this channel. So yes, I think YouTube sells books, but I think that it's kind of lightning in a bottle. It's a lot of work to get here. It's not a guarantee. And I think we're heading for a saturation point, and be wary of the hard sell. Honestly, I could probably make an entire video on soft sell tactics versus hard sell tactics. Let me know down below in the comments if you're interested in that, because I feel like this is going to be too long if I ramble more about that. But those are kind of my thoughts in a nutshell. Yes, but. What do you think about YouTube selling books? I know we kind of covered this on the Twitter video, but have you bought books from YouTube? Here's a good question for you. How do you feel about the soft sell versus the hard sell? Can you tell when a channel is actively trying to get you to buy their book versus not? And how does that impact your feelings as an audience member, as a community member, and as a consumer? That's really the crux of it. I definitely think we're going to see some fragmentation in the future in the AuthorTube community because there are very different approaches to setting up channels, and I do think they have different yields when it comes to sales. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. I'll make more discussion style videos about topics in our community in publishing. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. I post new videos 2 to 3 times a week. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, guys, happy writing.